only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Bad feeling about this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Gisanti, who is very happy. Jeff.
Oh, I don't know if you're breaking.
Once again,
I don't know if you're breaking up or if I'm breaking up.
No, it's
somebody. Me. Yeah. So you want me to take over for a second?
It's me.
Okay.
No,
so
it appears I'm back.
There he is.
But we are back.
Nope,
here
he's not
back.
Again. He's not back.
We
so
back
I'll take over
again
while Nick is figuring that out. No.
AEW
You had your chance. You blew it.
Yeah.
This is awkward.
No,
yeah, basically. All right, buddy. I love you, but I'll take over for now. This is the Market Down Podcast. I'm James Gisanti. That's Nick Cummings. We're going over AEW Dynamite, where I thought they had a pretty good show tonight. A lot of good wrestling, something that we haven't had in a while. It's been very segment heavy lately. But tonight we got a good mix of both. Some good wrestling, some good storytelling. And I know I said last week it felt like the best episode of Dynamite all year. They only had 3. But number 4 might be the number. This might have been the show of the year so far. So we started, I don't really know. What's our banner, producer boy? And I'll be able to get into it after that. But we started with Wardlow versus Trent Baretta. I feel like something definitely happened before this match. But regardless, I thought this was genuinely Wardlow's best match in well over a year, if not longer. I thought that Wardlow looked so good while also managing to look very vulnerable, something that's a hard sell. But this wasn't Wardlow's typical squash match. This was a nice back and forth, although they did tease it in the beginning of the match, as Wardlow went very steadily over Trent. As he was positioning him for that powerbomb, Trent wasn't even getting up. He was just sort of lifeless on the mat. But it was all a ruse as Trent went for the roll-up, getting only a 2 count. But that's when the match really started to pick up as far as I'm concerned. I believe Rev is getting back to us. I'm not entirely sure. How you doing, buddy?
I'm a little confused why you started with like the 3rd match of the evening.
It was the first banner. I knew. I was just like, I'm pretty sure this wasn't the first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this wasn't the first match of the night, but it was the first banner that was given to me.
I believe you just didn't scroll up to the top. There's like
was
20
the first,
banners at the top of that.
This was the first banner that was presented to me. I'm what we like to call the talent. I don't do the behind the scenes fun stuff, but we will we'll see what we can do. But we might as well just finish talking about this match. It's not like it's going to matter all that much in the long run, right? We can start from the top after we get through this middle match.
Sure.
All right.
Keep it going.
So yeah.
You're doing so well.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm doing my best here. This match was very hard hitting. I'm not shocked by that, considering what Wardlow brings to the equation. As said earlier in a segment with Orange Cassidy and Renee, Wardlow's got a lot of meat, and he certainly brought it in this matchup. We had some involvement from both sides, as we saw the Undisputed Kingdom. Their presence was very heavy, as Trent was also flanked by Orange Cassidy, Chucky T, and Rocky Romero. As these guys were going back and forth, eventually Trent succumbs to, I don't know if we have a name for it yet, but what is essentially the last ride powerbomb, with Wardlow getting the 1, 2, 3, looking dominant, surprisingly looking vulnerable. But I mean it when I say I think this was Wardlow's best match in, if not ever, a very, very long time. Thoughts, Rev?
I still don't know if I'm.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, we're going to go now to the start of the show, as the Dynamite opened up with a Samoa Joe in-ring promo as the world champion addressed his audience, addressed his crowd, and talked about how, yes, we might have the return of the AEW Power Rankings, something that I'm very excited about, something that I've been a big fan of and I loved from the initial run in AEW and went away for quite a while. I might not exactly understand the reason why. There have been some different reports. It might be this guy from Chicago. It might be that it wasn't working with the title picture. But regardless of all that, they are back. And personally, I thought it added an extra layer of gravitas to tonight's episode of Dynamite. Every match, every singles match felt important. It felt like everybody was vying for a top spot. They were clawing to become the number one contender. As Joe is addressing these changes and addressing having so many people coming at him, we are interrupted by his challenger from last week. That's right, Hook, who put on, in my opinion, a very valiant effort last week, and quite, in my opinion, admirably kicking out at one from the Muscle Buster. I don't want to say who, but he is a part of this podcast who was very loudly complaining about it online. But regardless, Hook comes out and says, last week you won, I lost, shakes Joe's hand and says, just know I will be back for you. Joe says, well, I'm here to address the future. I'm here to address everybody else in line. And after you lost last week, you're in the back of the line. So he asks security to escort Hook out. Hook making quick work. I am not going to put anybody on blast, Danny, who's asking who is complaining about Hook kicking out of the Muscle Buster. But let's just say he is a probationary member of this podcast. But Hook makes quick work of his opponent, of the security guards, and Joe is just on the outside watching before Hook leaves. I thought this was a great back and forth. It establishes Hook. It establishes Hook as somebody who is still gunning for the title despite the loss. Joe shaking his hand, despite being the snarky champ that he is, did give him a sign of respect after obliterating him after the match last week. So these embers are still burning for Hook, and they might not be burning bright right now, but they will catch fire down the road. This leads to our first match, our actual first match of the night. Sorry, guys. As we go to Hangman, Adam Page versus Penta, Cero, Miedo. And while this wasn't exactly a number one contenders match, as I said before, with the return of the rankings, they are clearly putting an importance on winning and losing in these matchups. There was a sense of desperation. I love this bit that Producer Boy pulled up. We'll talk about it a little bit later, as that segment didn't quite happen yet. But Hangman versus Penta was a fun match. It was hard to get super into because the crowd wasn't really there for it. I thought the match was very good. I thought these guys both brought it to one another. There was a no nonsense mentality as far as I'm concerned. And I'll just say it. I'm taking Hangman more seriously because of the mustache. It doesn't make sense, but I do. He feels authoritative. I feel like I don't want to disappoint him. I'm looking at I missed what Producer Boy put up. A tweet saying Gunther said Penta chopped him the hardest. You don't want that, Hangman. As Penta and Hangman were trading a lot of chops during this matchup. I don't really have a lot of notes on it. Kind of waiting on Nick to come back, but I am doing my best here, guys. We might have him. How you doing, pal?
I have no idea if I'm back. I wasn't even planning on coming back until this thing actually fixed itself, but somebody put me in, so I guess I'm back. Hi.
I mean, you sound good and you look good.
Exactly.
You might just
don't know why I got put back in. Wasn't trying to be put back in.
So he's not back in, guys. But all right. So ultimately, this was a winning effort for Hangman Adam Page as he gets the win over Penta while Samoa Joe is on commentary. I can't say, like I said, it was very easy to stay focused on this match. The crowd wasn't there for it, but it was easy to pay attention to Samoa Joe's commentary. It was hilarious. He's no stranger to being behind the table. He's no stranger to having a microphone in his face. I think he killed it. He had some really great bits. He did one bit where Penta was going for the chop, and Joe's like, shush, 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 this is my favorite part. And then later on, Penta goes for his signature arm breaker. And he once again tells the rest of the commentary to shush, shush, shush. This is my actual favorite part. Joe is such a snarky bastard. It's great. And that experience that WWE gave him being behind the commentary table, absolutely paying off here tonight. The match had a beautiful segment in the middle as Hangman goes for the buckshot lariat and is countered with a made in Japan unbelievable reversal. It's the type of reversal that is going to get jiffed over and over. Yes, I said it, jiff. We still say jiff here at the Mark It Down podcast because there's nobody here to contradict me. But great back and forth. Ultimately, Hangman getting the win, the 1, 2, 3, and then jawing back and forth with Joe, who is not too thrilled that Hangman got the win, saying that, yeah, this was a good match, but it's not championship quality contendership. Moving on, I did briefly cover it. We did have that backstage interview with Orange Cassidy. He addressed Roderick Strong's challenge for the international title, as Roddy made sure he wanted him at the pay-per-view. He wanted him at Revolution. Orange said, I don't know why you're waiting 6 weeks. I would have given it to you last week. I would give it to you this week. But we'll do it for Revolution. I thought that was really funny of Orange. He's still a very great fighting champion. And of course, interjecting his own personal brand of comedy. And this then leads to him talking about the match with Wardlow and Trent that we already talked about. We then go to another backstage segment. Hold on, just going to read something that Producer Boy put up. Orange Cassidy gets a lot of hate. People still don't understand his gimmick. But the guy is money, and I don't know why he put it down as I was reading it, but we're going to keep going. But the guy is money, and the crowd always loves him. It's true. Orange is going to be somebody that the Cornets of the world will just never get. But the people who do love him understand what he brings to the table. Danny telling Dragoon to hop on. These guys are literally drowning. I'm doing pretty damn good considering everything I'm dealing with right now, I think. And Dragoon saying he doesn't know what AEW is, or I would. It's the place where like mid-level Japanese wrestlers go to show that they're not supposed to win matches. That's where Dragoon. But like I said, moving on. I don't know what that is. But moving on, we then go to a backstage interview with Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, the only way to properly refer to who are formerly known as the Young Bucks. Hi, Rev. How you doing, pal?
I don't know. How am I doing?
You sound good. You look beautiful. Apparently, I'm drowning, but I think I'm doing pretty darn good by myself, all things considered.
Yeah, Danny, supportive as always. I believe I heard my name, though. Nicholas?
Yes. And your brother, Matthew.
Yeah. I gotta admit, as somebody who doesn't have anybody call him Nicholas, and as somebody is my brother, no one ever calls him Matthew except maybe my grandmother. It's really weird that I've always had Nick and Matt Jackson, but now I have Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, and it's admittedly throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Doesn't help that the ages are reversed.
No, it doesn't. But I guess I can jump back in here since I'm finally on this. You know what it was? It was my ad blocker. I turned them off. Who would have known? Anyway, yes, we are backstage with the EVPs. And as they are walking through backstage, we have Alex Marvev trying to give a word to them, with them, referring to them as Nick and Matt. However, Nicholas quickly corrects them, saying they are to be called by their, and I quote, passport names. Matthew then responds to Marvev's question about what they're there to do, and he says that they've gotten backstage morale way up, and they've even fixed the catering problem. asking Marvez how much he enjoyed catering tonight. To which he said he did quite a bit. As they walk away from Marvez, they then run into Top Flight, who the Jacksons accused of being late. Top Flight's like, dude, we've been here since 1. And then the Jacksons get on their case more for not having their ring gear on or having their credentials. Both of the brothers are like, that's kind of weird. You hired us, you know who we are, but whatever, fine. And the Bucks are like, no, we're kidding. Excuse me, the Jacksons, like, no, we're kidding. We love you. It's fine. And they're like, we're doing so well here. They even made a fine joke with Bryan Danielson. But James, I guess to allow myself to recompose myself, the new evolution of the Young Bucks to the Jacksons, I'm finding very interesting here, as I think we're going to see them just kind of being dicks to everybody. And I think I mentioned last week, they're going to be the people everyone thinks they are backstage on screen, just to piss everyone off even more.
I'll be honest, I kind of regret so much how long it took for them to get to this gimmick. This feels like the type of gimmick they should have had immediately following Brawl Out. Like, if the fans were going to turn on them, if the fans were, like, if there was going to be a contingent of the audience that only saw the Young Bucks as these douchebag EVPs who tried throwing their weight around and were pushing people out of the company, man, like, God, if, like, it genuinely feels like we're a year and a half too late with this gimmick. But I'm very glad that it's here. I'm very glad that they were smart enough to finally jump onto this. And I said it in our chat earlier, they're going to be absolutely insufferable, and it's going to be great. They're going to kill it with this gimmick. Like, they are, like, I think it goes without saying, the Young Bucks, whether it goes back to being in New Japan or their time in Ring of Honor or now in AEW, they just work better as heels. And they know what's going to make this work. And we're, I think, 2 to 3 weeks in on this being legit, and they're just killing it. Absolutely killing it.
Yeah, I also, too, like the hypocrisy of them just showing up and then accusing Top Flight of being late, as that tweet producer boy pointed out. But also, too, the Young Bucks as heels have always been guys that have leaned into what people have hated about them. And I think, again, I said this last week, where they were the flippy spot guys in New Japan with Bullet Club because everybody hated that about them. So they just leaned into it. Now everybody hates their quote unquote backstage personas, or we think those are. And now they're leaning into that. And the Cornettes of the world are going to hate it. And I'm going to absolutely adore it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll be honest. If Cornette doesn't like it, I think he's really going to be showing his ass again, because.
Like every day.
I mean, I agree, but there are certain people who don't. But, like, I think this is a tailor-made gimmick for them. I think this is a tailor-made gimmick, and, Jerk It Up podcast going to be running wild. Dragoon, your days are numbered. Just know that. I love you, though.
I do believe that was more in reference to Eric saying what I had to turn off ads for in the chat.
No. He's already been. We'll get into this later. This is behind the scenes drama at the Market Down podcast. And unlike AEW, we don't air out our dirty laundry with the executive vice presidents of this organization. But let's move on.
All right. After that, we had, where were we? The Wardlow Trent Baretta match. I know you discussed this, but I did just want to say, I agree with you. I think this is one of Wardlow's better matches. And I think this was a pretty smart match, too, the way they did it, because Wardlow actually dominated early, and it was actually the interference of the Undisputed Kingdom that kind of turned it around on him, because they tried to cheat for him with that chair, and instead Trent was able to use it, and that's when he finally gained the upper hand. He was able, to hit the pile driver and then go up for the crossbody, and eventually that was his undoing because Wardlow caught him. But I found it interesting that it was the interference on, by his own compatriots that almost cost Wardlow the match. And it also made Trent look good. It continues his, I'm trying to think of the word. I don't want to say descent towards a heel turn, but he's clearly been getting close and not being able to finish and, get to the top of the mountain.
He's fallen into the darkness.
It does seem like he is. And that's why I think this was a smart and good match.
After the match, shoving the international champion after trying to pick him back up. I conspicuously absent Danhausen, not amongst the rest of the best friends there.
Well, he put out a thing on the internet, on YouTube the other day, and it was hilarious. He played like 4 different characters. I think it was like unresolved mysteries of where he's been for the last year. And he's like, he said, I'm winning a title. I don't care if I'm friends with you or not. I'm going to be winning a title this year in 2024. So he might not be with best friends anymore. I don't know.
That does sound like Danhausen. It does sound like Danhausen.
And you made mention of Orange Cassidy, and I wasn't sure if you got into that, but they did set up a fatal 4-way on Rampage for a new number 1 contender for the AEW International Championship.
Freshly squeezed 4-way.
Yep, good name for it. And
I liked it. Creative.
The winner of that match will face Orange on Saturday.
Yes, on Collision.
Yep. All right, so after that match, we had a quick Adam Copeland video package. He faced off against Minoru Suzuki, in the main event of the show. And then we had our face-to-face between Timeless Toni Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. This was great. Yep.
I got so much out of this that I have been waiting for since they've been doing everything they've been doing with Toni.
Yeah,
I loved it. Please get into it, but I loved it.
I was going to say, before we even start, I know that you were really excited about the split screen black and white camera to color. Just the technical aspects of it.
It's so simple, but it's so powerful. It accomplishes so much. And it's just such a funny little detail, If they never ended up doing it, I would be fine. But the fact that they did it, the fact that they made it look so good and utilized it so well here, I thought it was great. SRS on Twitter agreeing, saying he loved the split black and white / color effect for Toni and Deonna. I completely agree with him. One of, from just a technical standpoint, probably one of my highlights of the night.
Yeah, and as a company that we know doesn't necessarily do technically well in terms of the technology of everything. I mean, they had sound problems, I think, for the first 15 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, there was a lot going on tonight.
At least my app did. I don't know if that came over everything, but yeah, the fact they were able to get this done was nothing short of a miracle. I digress. Anyway, this started with Toni just intercepting Renee's first question, saying that she's heard Deonna was recently body shamed, which is awful because there's so much more that's shameful about her. So off the bat, great start. Toni won't let somebody claiming to be her friend just waltz into AEW and challenge her for the title. And if Deonna tries, she'll rip her lips off so hard she'll need an epidural.
I'm going to ask something, and I promise this isn't me being pervy. Which lips was she talking about?
I think that was the point.
Okay.
Either way.
God.
Wild line. Toni's just, in her character, she can just say wild shit like that.
And she gets away with it.
Completely get away with it, yeah.
Amazing.
Because that's just her character now, and it's great. Deonna responds that she didn't come here to make friends, that whole gambit. She came to win the AEW championship, and the championship just happens to be on somebody who used to be her friend. Deonna doesn't recognize this new version of Toni, and she wants to face the woman who she used to be on judo mats with constantly, and the one who lived in her house when Toni first moved to America. Deonna says that Toni can't fool her, and she should check her ankle because it'll look a lot like Deonna's, and Deonna reveals that she has an ankle tattoo. Toni pulls up her stocking to reveal she has a matching ankle tattoo, but says that Deonna can take her tattoo and shove it up her bumhole. That is a direct quote. Before throwing her shoe at Deonna. Deonna returns fire with one of her own shoes. A brawl breaks out. The black and white goes away. And Deonna is quickly able to take Toni down and almost gets her to Milo Dovinus before Mariah May, who was on stage with Toni, was able to pull Toni away. Deonna gets up, tries to throw a kick at Mariah, and she ends up catching Luther with the kick instead as Mariah quickly and swiftly dodges it. And then Toni, who fell like 8 times trying to get up.
It was
beautiful
so funny.
physical slapstick comedy. She kept slipping on her like giant boa laced, I don't even know, cape or whatever the fuck it is.
Her gown.
Yeah, yes, her gown. Absolutely beautiful physical comedy. Toni and Mariah scramble to the back, leaving Deonna the AEW Women's World Championship to hold up before tossing it back to Luther. This was art. We'll pull up the Martin Scorsese, this is cinema meme. That's what this was. It was fantastic. Out the opening gate with the body shaming joke after all the shit that happened last week.
I appreciate how they addressed it. I appreciate how they addressed it. They addressed it and they moved on really quick. It felt like something. There you go.
Thank you.
Good old Marty. Marty, I hope you're feeling better after yesterday, pal. I know you weren't doing too well here in New York, but get better.
Oh, he gets sick?
Yeah, no, he was at an event at in uptown, I guess, and he was just not in good shape, it seems. But then the best wishes to you, Marty. But beyond that, I thoroughly enjoyed this segment. I am starting to fall for it, and it's hurting me. It's scaring me. I don't want to believe that Deonna's going to win this title because I don't want to get hurt again. But my God, how good did she look with the title in her hand? It felt right. Producer boy, if you could pull up an image of that from the end of that segment as Deonna was holding the championship before she tossed it to Luther, who really didn't catch it. It did not land. It was hilarious. But Deonna looks, there you go. We got an image of it up if you're just listening to us. Deonna looks like a champion. She carries herself like a champion. Her holding that title just feels and looks right. But again, I've been here before. We're going to talk about one of those people very soon, as that was a segment that came up. But man, I don't want to believe, but I'm starting to believe that she has a shot.
Well, I think this is a little different than what I assume you're mentioning, because Deonna is coming in. Granted, I guess, to spoil it, Taya Valkyrie was also a former Impact Women's Champion, I think.
Tag team champion.
Okay, so Deonna was not only the Impact Champion, she held that thing for like 1 billion days. So, with all due respect to Taya, Deonna's on a little bit of a higher level here. So, her coming in and immediately challenging for the AEW Women's Championship, I think makes a lot of sense. Taya going for the TBS Championship also made a lot of sense.
Oh, of course. And look, it's not just Taya. We had it with Ruby. We've had it with several people who come in and they immediately go for the title and then lose. And then what do we do after this? We've been there a few times now. Taya was just the probably most prominent recently. But I'm rooting for Deonna. She's got all the makings of a great champion for AEW. So hopefully it happens. And I will say, the tattoo bit, I really appreciated, because how often do we hear these wrestlers say, I've known you for so long, we were friends back in the day, and it's like, what's going on? And it's like, I know that most of these guys are all friends backstage, that they all have, like, they've been working together or worked the indies together for years and years. So, of course, I know that these people all have history. But sometimes it's very, not manufactured, but conveniently brought up. The tattoo was undeniable proof that these two women have a history. These tattoos are just, like, it's right there in your face. You can't deny there was a bond. So now I believe this rivalry is deeper than just the title. So yeah. I appreciated it.
I was going to say, we had the same thing with Toni Storm once before and Jamie Hayter. And yes, I believed them, of course. Yeah. But the physical proof of it is always better. When you get pictures of, like, when MJF had that picture with CM Punk.
Yeah, exactly.
It adds a little more weight and gravitas to everything they're saying, because they are bringing in real life situations into the storyline, and that just makes everything a little bit better.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming this match happens at Revolution, and I am very much looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Plus, it's also going to be a banger of a match.
Yep, big time.
Let's move on. We then came back, I think, from commercial to a quick John Moxley backstage promo. Pretty much he's just gearing up to murder everybody in 2024, and he's going to start with Lee Moriarty on Friday. So that was a good promo, considering that's all he had to do. We then went to the aforementioned Taya Valkyrie along with her husband, Johnny TV, for a backstage promo of their own. Taya is sick of what we just talked about. She's sick of women coming into AEW and challenging for titles without, going up the ladder, despite the fact she kind of did that herself. Although she had a bunch of wins before challenging Jade Cargill. So she challenges Deonna to a match next week on Dynamite, which was later made official. James, there was like a few minutes here. I was like, dang, this entire episode was made for James. Renee made a meat joke. Deonna's on TV killing it. Taya Valkyrie's with Johnny TV. They just tailor-made this one for James. And now all I have to do is just tee him up nice and easy. And I have to do nothing for this episode. And then StreamYards just went crazy.
you know that bit about it became a meme for a while. It was just like, if so-and-so has 1 million fans, I'm one of them. If so-and-so has one fan, it's me. If so-and-so doesn't have any fans, it's because I'm dead and not breathing. Like that thing.
Yeah, that's
what this episode of Dynamite was. If this episode had one fan, it was me. So I loved it. Just a little background for some people who aren't familiar with this new showing of Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie. They've really been pushing the romantic angle with these two. I mean, real life husband and wife on Ring of Honor. Them being together is something that got a lot more play in Ring of Honor and has gotten some time as Johnny is feuding with everybody's favorite peacock, Dalton Castle. The man hasn't slept since crossing paths with Johnny. But I thought
great hair in that matchup.
Oh, absolutely. I thought Johnny fit his part of hype man very well in this matchup, in this segment, saying some really funny lines to really bounce off of Taya and to make her sound, just like a star. And I think Taya's new look, I think she looks better with Johnny. I think this new gimmick of theirs of being like the it couple in AEW, I think it suits them. I think they're obviously two very beautiful people. So capitalize on it. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. Got to give it to the TNA social media team. Basically, within minutes of announcing that matchup, they posted on Twitter a video from their match from 2022 in Impact. They never fail. They never cease to have the receipts and have everything ready. So great work, TNA social media team. And again, I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be great women's wrestling. Johnny TV, Taya Valkyrie's initials are TV. God, it was right in front of us the entire time. Great tweet that you pulled up, producer boy. Yeah, I third eye opening. Third eye absolutely opening.
Yeah, I'm excited for that matchup next week. The Impact TNA thing is one of my favorite running. I don't even know if it's a bit or whatever it is. One of my favorite running things in wrestling. They just have somebody somewhere. All right, wrestling's on today. Any other guys on? Okay, let's see if they interact. Immediately post. I feel like they just have everything queued up, and all they have to do is push a button, and it's immediately up. But I didn't know they were together on Ring of Honor, but seeing them together on AEW was really cool. And that match next week is going to probably be really good. I don't know how much they faced off in Impact, but when I did hear about it, I always heard good things. So I'm excited to watch them go at it in an AEW ring.
Absolutely.
All right. After this, we had Swerve Strickland versus Jeff Hardy to just continue James's parade here. And I'm not going to lie, this
match fucked. This match was amazing. We now have 2 back-to-back Jeff Hardy singles matches that were kind of freaking awesome. Jeff Hardy wrestling Darby Allin on Rampage last week, and now Jeff Hardy wrestling Swerve this week on Dynamite. I absolutely am here for the Hardissance. That didn't work. I'll come up with something better, but give me time. Give me time.
Okay, I actually agree. I was pleasantly surprised by this match. I knew Swerve would be good, but I haven't really seen Jeff in singles too much lately. I know we had that match with Darby on Saturday. I haven't been able to catch it, but Jeff looked great here. And I'll just go from that twist of fate on the steps because it was towards the end of the match. After Jeff recovered, he was able to slide Swerve into the ring and went up top for the Swanton. However, Swerve was able to roll out of the way and then hit a last call on Jeff that Jeff was able to kick out of. Swerve then kicked out of a few roll-up attempts and hit a delayed vertical suplex on Jeff to set up and then eventually hit the Swerve stomp for the win. And yeah, this, like I said, this was a much better match than I expected, but both these guys delivered, and it was smart. Obviously, you have Swerve beat somebody and continue his quest towards going after the AEW World Championship in a good match. Just makes it, the fact that this match was really good makes it a really good win. Even though it's Jeff Hardy, and I understand Jeff beating Jeff Hardy is a good win, the quality of the match, I think, makes it a better win.
I agree. I actually completely agree with that statement.
And we continue Jeff's, I guess, story here because after he lost to Darby, he was pretty much a dick to him, for lack of a better phrase. Apparently, he was pretty cold to him after. And we saw tonight him doing a couple heelish things, including trying to get a roll-up early and using the Swerve's belts. So I think we're going towards a more heel Hardys, at least Jeff.
Yes.
But that's why I like this match as a whole. Both of these guys absolutely killed it, and it continues their stories so well.
No, I completely agree. Just to add to that a bit, the Hardys are definitely turning heel, or at least trying to. If you've been following them on social media the last several weeks, they've been very vocal about complaining that they're not on Dynamite, that they're stuck in Rampage, that they're stuck on Friday night.
Sorry, I haven't seen that meme in like 15 years.
Because 15 years ago, it wasn't a meme. It was just real.
It's an older meme, sir, but it checks out.
But when he wrestled Darby before the match, he went for a handshake with Darby, and Jeff just slapped the shit out of Darby. So they are definitely coming out to the ring. Jeff started doing his typical Jeff dance, but then he stops and he just doesn't really care to continue. He does the delete instead, and even that was half-hearted. So they're doing a heel turn for them. But then you had Jeff go against Swerve, who is the heel of AEW right now. Granted, he's the most popular, probably, character in AEW right now. I got my cat going crazy.
A lot of cats
lots of cat action tonight. But I was awful. But I was concerned whether or not it made sense to have this newly turned Jeff Hardy heel against Swerve. But I think they worked it well enough. And hello. Say hi. But yeah, I thought this match, I know I can be biased for Jeff. I think I've also been very critical of Jeff, but I know I can be biased with Jeff. But the truth is, I think this was match of the night. I think Swerve and Jeff delivered in this matchup. It wasn't just a Swerve showing. Jeff did his part. And admittedly, I complained about it earlier. The crowd finally showed up for this match. They were pretty quiet throughout the night. And then this match happened, and they were there for both of them. I think they were more there for Swerve than they were for Jeff, but they were there for Jeff as well. They were giving it for Jeff up. They were giving it up for Jeff. So everything about this match worked, from the crowd to both of these guys to the story they were telling. I'm all for it. And I know producer boy pulling up this tweet. Jeff Hardy can still go. It just his old ass can't bend his back, brother, holding him back. What? I'm not reading that right. Like I didn't have I didn't have a stroke or anything. All right. No, I
think that was the person saying Matt Hardy might be holding him back.
And quite frankly, I think it's kind of true. And I love Matt, so I don't want to rip on Matt. Rebby does that enough for him. But like if this is what I'm going to be getting from singles Jeff, sorry, Matt, be there in the corner for your brother. That's more than enough for me. So great matchup, highlight of the night for me, the match of the night for me. And I'm cool with Swerve winning. It needed to be him who gets the win. I'm just happy Jeff is still showing up and showing people he could still go.
Yeah, which again surprised me. I genuinely, because out of the two of them, between Matt and Jeff, I always figured Matt knew his limitations and didn't try to do too much, and therefore was wrestling better than Jeff, because Jeff kept trying to do all the things he's always done, and he necessarily can't do them all.
Yeah.
And then Jeff did this tonight, and he did everything he needed to do and then some. So
Absolutely.
It definitely surprised me, which was what made it great. The crowd definitely surprised me because, as you said, they woke up, or what little of them there were. Reportedly, this was a very, very poorly attended show, unfortunately. Although I feel like last time they went to Savannah, that happened.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Harris, stop working and go to a fucking show. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing that they only showed up for this match, because I think there was some other very good stuff that happened in the show. But I think the fact that you had two people that they could chant for, it's easy to chant for Jeff. Swerve has the Who's House, Swerve House thing. It's very easy to get the crowd into, and they all went in. And the match was good enough where they stayed in. It wasn't just they started at the top of the match and the chants died. It went throughout the whole match. So just good showing by everybody. The crowd, both wrestlers, Matt, even the ref. Everyone did a great job in this match. And it probably is match of the night. I really did enjoy the main event a whole hell of a lot. But you're probably right. This probably is main event. Match of the night. We then go backstage right after the match to an interview with Hangman Adam Page. And before Renee can even finish her question about Hangman being undefeated this year and where he might be in the rankings at the end of the month, Swerve immediately interrupts, and he comes over and reminds everybody that he's also undefeated this year, and he is the last man to beat Hangman Adam Page. The two get in each other's faces. Hangman and him are just jawing at each other, and eventually Swerve tries to leave, but Renee stops him with some breaking news, saying that each man will be in a dealer's choice match next week, where both guys get to decide the other's opponents for their match. So, James, very short but good. It's a new year, new me, dumbass. Great line from Hangman.
He delivered it so genuinely. There was no snark to it. It was just, after Swerve said, well, yeah, you might have been undefeated this year, but who's the last person to beat you? Hangman saying, new year, new me, dumbass, was perfect. It felt like Hangman. I loved it. 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 But please continue. Yeah, short but sweet segment.
Yeah, these two are great on camera every time we see them. Their chemistry, both in the ring and on the mic, is great. So
absolutely.
Even in maybe it was a 60-second segment, just no notes.
Yes. No, I thought this was fantastic. One thing I will say, and I don't think it was necessarily a problem with tonight, but it's something that I am weary of in the future. Swerve literally broke into Hangman's house. I don't want to see too much goofy between these two guys. Like I think they rode the line. They rode the line very well tonight. You know, like the New Year, New Me, dumbass was just funny enough without being too silly considering their past. But I really don't want them to ever lose that heat. You know, it's starting to feel like a professional rivalry when this needs to feel like a personal rivalry. So again, tonight was not it, but I could see it going in that direction because of how much they're going for, how much this is about going for the AEW world title. So just something that I hope they're aware of moving forward.
That's a good point. And yeah, I would hope they don't do goofy, agreed, because there's too much, literal attempted murder in this. So, or at least breaking, injuring, and intimidation. So, yeah, don't do funny. Moving on. Next up, we had Thunder Rosa versus Red Velvet. I think this was Thunder's first match back on Dynamite in singles competition since she's returned. Honestly, you know me, I really don't like talking about the women poorly, but this wasn't great. Thunder won with a Tijuana bomb and called out Toni Storm in the camera after match, I guess to set up something in the future. But this was in a bad spot on the card, especially after that, Swerve Jeff match where the crowd was really hyped. So they were super dead. And honestly, it was kind of a little sloppy.
No, I agree.
That was a lack of chemistry since they had never been in the ring together. But it didn't look great to me. And that's unfortunate because I think both these women are very good, but just not the best showing tonight from them.
No, I do agree with you. Thunder has, I think, had better matches since being back. And Velvet, who has been wrestling a lot lately, has, I think, had better matches in this little streak of appearances she's been making.
Since she's been back. She just came back from injury, too.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily think this was a bad match, but it didn't wow me either.
That didn't help. The camera cutting to the Savannah Bananas as Thunder's calling out Toni and Julia. So
yeah. I look. We know the audio issues with AEW. We don't need camera issues too. We really don't.
That's just directing issues. That's not even a camera.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. We don't need visual mix-ups either. So, but overall, fine match. Happy Thunder is getting back into the heat of things, back into the thick of everything. I've talked about it before, how her return has felt very low key in comparison to other people who have left and come back. But hey, it's happening. Might not be the champion's welcome she kind of deserves, in my opinion, but she's back and she's being used weekly. Can't ask for much, much more than that. So hopefully things start to warm up for her a little bit. Things start to heat up, but Happy Thunder is doing her thing.
Yeah, and part of me is wondering if that's intentional. I mean, obviously it's like that's the plan, but I wonder if they just did a low-key one on purpose because of all of the controversy that had surrounded her when she got hurt and everything with that. Oh, the back quote unquote backstage stuff. So maybe they're just like, all right, let's just ease her back in, let everyone get reacclimated, get her, hot again so that people want to see her go after the title instead of just immediately bringing her back and having everyone be like, she's just immediately going for the title again. That's kind of whack. Like, she's been out for all these months and there's been all these problems. So.
I mean, admittedly, when Jamie Hayter comes back, I am fine with her just immediately going.
Oh, she will.
Yeah.
Yeah, she absolutely will, but she's not coming back with some of the alleged baggage that Thunder is. I don't know what happened back there. It's not, it's not my business. Maybe she could have come back and attacked Britt, Eric, if Britt had been there in the last.
I mean, I'm fairly certain Britt is injured right now. So yeah.
So she's busy getting healthy and fixing people's teeth. So
like a true hero. Yeah, like a true hero.
So we'll see what happens with Thunder. Maybe Britt's closer to being back than we thought, and they're waiting to set something up there and using that. Reported real life heat. Who knows? But I think bringing Thunder back this way is actually a little smart, especially since you have Deonna going for the title right now, and you have Julia Hart wrapped up in other stuff. Keep her on TV. Let the fan, reacclimate themselves, as I said, and we'll get that ball rolling when we need to.
Just reading this tweet, Thunder Rosa has been a hit for me since coming back. I do not like that new finisher she's doing. She's such a convincing wrestler who looks like such a badass. Her finish doesn't give off that same energy. Everything else has been great. I don't necessarily mind it. Kevin Owens hits a variation of that move in WWE, and I think he hits it just as well as she does. And I think overall it's a safer move than her usual finish. So I'm all for wrestlers having diverse finishers. I enjoy when I see wrestlers have one or two finishers or like a signature that'll get an occasional win as well. So might not be my favorite, but I don't dislike it either.
I didn't love it. It looked a little clunky. Maybe again that was just due to the lack of chemistry with Red. But and I hadn't seen it before, so it surprised me when it ended the match. I was like, oh, that was weird. It was like it's a double underhook powerbomb. Okay, so. I don't know. We'll see if she gets a little better with it, and we'll see if it gets over.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, look, I've hated finishers when they started out too, and then ended up falling in love with them. So.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to warm up to it.
Yeah. Let's move on to our next segment, which was a in-ring interview with Darby Allin and Sting. So pretty much in-ring interview. Shivani was out there to introduce Sting. Darby comes out and tells a story about how he heard Sting was returning to AEW and was surprised about that because Sting was allegedly, his career was finished. But eventually he was able to go down to Sting's house and they got in a ring together at, in Sting's garage. And within a few minutes, Darby went to Sting that he still got it and you need to come back. And now, however many years later, they are undefeated. And with the return of the rankings, they should be in line for a shot at the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
Can I address one thing about that specifically?
Certainly.
They were teaming during the original era when the rankings were a thing, and I'm pretty sure they would have been in first back then as well. So I find it funny that they brought it up, but in general, yeah, I'm super happy about this. I didn't see the tweet that Producer Boy pulled up, but I'm sure.
Darby Allin is good on the mic now, future world champion, no doubt. Darby has absolutely improved, James.
100%. I used to be one of Darby's biggest detractors when it came to his mic work, but I thought he absolutely killed it tonight and has been getting better with each mic appearance.
Yep. And just to continue what he was saying, Darby asked Sting if he wanted to end his career as the tag team championships, once again telling him that he's still got it. Sting grabbed the mic and was just like, yeah, I'm all in. And that was the end of it. So we, meanwhile, in the back actually had a shot during this of Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. Looked like they're producing the segment. I think Producer Boy showed a picture of them earlier.
Yeah, they did.
So that is still looming. And now I'm going to jump quickly into the next segment that I forgot to put the banner up for, but whatever, which was as we returned from commercial, we had Ricky Starks and Big Bill respond backstage. Big Bill thanks Darby for actually mentioning them by name before, because apparently nobody ever does that, before accepting their match. So Ricky says it's ironic that Sting faced him and a partner who was Brian Cage in his first match in AEW, and now will face him and his best partner in what will be Sting's final match, adding that Sting won't make it to Revolution. I put as a note to start, it almost seems like this match is going to happen before the pay-per-view, setting up the Jacksons for Revolution. Yeah, and I was right, because during the main event, or I think shortly after it ended, it was confirmed that this match will be taking place in 2 weeks on Dynamite, as we mentioned, in Phoenix. So, yeah, James, that was all of that. Outside of Darby, again, improving on the mic, this is interesting because now I do think we are setting up for Sting and Darby to win this match and then face the Jacksons at Revolution, probably for the tag team championships, which adds even more heat to the Jacksons should they win at the pay-per-view.
I'll be honest with you. I'm really conflicted about a lot of this. Let's call it, Sting and Darby are going to win the tag titles in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because they're not going to have Sting lose before his last match.
Yep.
There's no point. So Sting and Darby are going to become the tag team champions in 2 weeks. I was already on the fence thinking that Sting should be the main event of the pay-per-view if it's going to be his retirement. I don't know how you send the crowd home that angry with the Young Bucks not just retiring Sting, but taking the tag titles off of Sting. That's scary.
It would be phenomenal heat, but
Bully Ray somewhere jacking off in a corner thinking about all the heat.
Think of the heat, bro.
Eric bringing up a great point in the comments. Why they didn't do this earlier is strange. I don't know. I think they were waiting to see what was going to happen with Kenny and Jericho. I think they were waiting to see the severity of Kenny's illness. But I think, with all things considered, this is a great way to play it.
Do you think this is a pivot?
I don't know that it's necessarily a pivot, but because I don't necessarily think that Kenny and Jericho were going to win the tag titles. But it does feel like they would have wanted that story out of the way before putting Sting and Darby in a tag team title situation. So I don't know, but I do think that there was probably a little bit of a delay because of it. Maybe Bucks were supposed to beat Jericho Kenny. Maybe. I don't know. There are so many what ifs about that feud, and quite frankly, I'm okay with putting a lot of that behind me. I really don't want to think about the Golden Jets all that much, but very interesting way to play it. And I don't know now. There is a part of me that wonders, does Sting retire as the tag champ? I don't think it's in him to do that. I think it's in him to put somebody over going out on his shield in his last match, but it would be kind of cool.
It would be, but I agree with you. I would find it so shocking if he did that.
Sting known to be the most selfish person in wrestling.
Well, the man's been betrayed so many times. I was going to say the anniversary of him getting betrayed at like Halloween Havoc 95 just came up. It was on Reddit the other day.
Yeah.
When I think he was tagging with Flair against Arn and somebody else from the Horsemen. And Sting finally gets Flair in a hot tag, who is not even in gear, by the way. He's just in slacks. And Flair comes in, strutting around, hit the ropes, and then just goes up to Sting and just punches him in the face.
Flair's the fuck. What a guy. What a woo guy.
Dirtiest
Not woo
player
kid, but a woo guy.
Now, Woo Kid got jumped by... What pay-per-view was that? Oh, it was Joe Henry.
Yeah.
That took me a second. I was like, wait, what wrestling was I watching that day? Yeah, here it is.
Slipped and punched.
Yeah. Just comes in, woo, hit the rope, 1, 2, 3, nails Sting in the face.
I've seen some people say Sting with the Bucks feels right. I don't need... Not Sting, Flair with the Bucks feels right. I don't need Flair with the Bucks. I don't need Flair with anybody. But, man, all that heat. Like, I'm not a heat magnet guy. Like, I'm not somebody who thinks about it that way. But, man, that would be a lot of heat.
See, it would be funny if for his final match, Flair fucks Sting over one more time.
Right.
and he helps the Bucks win. And I never need to see Ric Flair again. I'm good. If he wants to keep sponsoring the show, be my guest. But I don't need to see Ric Flair with the Bucks every week. As a matter of fact, it'd be really funny if he helped the Bucks win and be like, no, you're also one of those old dudes we don't want here either, and super kicked him. Like,
nah, you don't want to turn the Bucks face.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a face turn. But either way, it would be hilarious.
Absolutely.
I don't need it, but it would be so funny.
It'd be a nice little addition.
One last time. All right, let's move on. Next up, we had the Acclaimed against the Mogul Embassy for the AEW World Trios Championships. This is one of the few times I'm ever going to say this. Why the fuck is this match happening? These guys just lost the Trios titles last week. So they get a shot at the other Trios titles this week.
From a storyline perspective, I'm willing to accept it because they only really lost the Ring of Honor Trios six-man tag titles because one member of the AEW Trios champions cost them the titles. So, he got involved in the match. So match. From a storyline standpoint, I'm willing to say I accept this. You cost me my championship. I'm coming for your championship. I'll take that.
Okay, thank you, Regal. And considering there's no rankings yet. Also, technically that loss happened in Ring of Honor, not AEW. So
I guess technically, yeah.
You don't know how high up the rankings they would have been, Mogul Embassy would have been, for the AEW World Trios Championships, considering that match would not have counted for the rankings. And it's getting really convoluted. All this is suffice to say, Bang Bang Scissor Gang, baby. They are together. They got together on Saturday. And damn, it was nice to hear Max rapping again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Long time.
The Nana jokes were great. Stop sending emails to my mama was phenomenal. Anyway, this match ended with Billy kicking out of a Gloria of Infamana. I think I heard fucking Excalibur say that right. Whatever. It was Bishop Khan's finisher.
Yeah.
Billy kicked out of it. So Khan then distracted the referee, which allowed Prince Nana to grab a chair from under the ring and slip it in there. Phrasing. Nana then jumped onto the apron to distract the referee even more. and Bishop Khan went over to grab the chair, much reminiscent of last week. And again, reminiscent of last week, Switchblade Jay White came down after they had come out with the Acclaimed, but they had went to the back. White came down, he snuck over, took the chair from Khan, and that allowed Billy Gunn to take Khan down. The Ash Boys then appeared, and they took Nana off the apron, brought him over to the timekeeper's area, and put him through a table. And then back in the ring, Cage attempted to go after Billy, but he got taken out by Bowens and Caster. They then hit, I wrote assisted cutter in my notes. It was a 3D. They hit a 3D on Khan before Billy hit a famouser, Bowens hit an arrival, and then Caster hit the mic drop for the win as they retain their titles. So I like the juxtaposition of this match versus last week's match.
Yeah. Kind
of the same ending, but we have the continuity, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. They're helping each other out. And it's just really fun to say that.
Absolutely. It is a really fun off-the-tongue name. I love the 3D. I don't know if anybody else has been paying attention to the Acclaimed, or at the very least, Max Caster and Bully Ray feuding on Twitter. I don't know if I'm being worked or not. I don't know if it's...
Is that why they hit it?
Yeah. Some vicious back and forth between the two men. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's legit. I don't know if I'm being worked, but I'm enjoying it. And that 3D felt like an exclamation point. So much so, commentary didn't call it for a second. They didn't know what to say in the beginning. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like, there was a moment of silence after they hit it. But fun matchup. I don't like. I've seen some people say this is going to lead to them unifying the trios and the 6-man tag titles. I don't think that's the case, but I can't imagine the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is going to last either.
No.
So I don't know what's going on here. It feels very weird. The Acclaim lost their aura. WWE Lifer tweeted, "Yeah, all right, thank you."
Good find there, bud.
Yeah. I wonder how you really feel, pal. But I don't know where they go from here. I don't know if one team screws the other team. I don't know if both teams screw each other. But we don't need to have a talk about the Acclaimed, as this tweet was said. The Acclaimed haven't been on TV, and that sucks. I completely agree. But to say they're doing something wrong, absolutely not. The rap tonight was great. The match tonight was fun, and I just need more of them. I tweet saying, I really like the Acclaimed a lot. It's no hate to them, but man, Jay White seriously deserves better than this. Good thing he will turn on them soon enough, I'm sure. He's in a program with one of the most popular teams in AEW. They're not ready to put a singles title on him. This is a good way of keeping him involved in important stuff and biding time.
Yeah, not to mention, like, they put gold on the guy. Why are you bitching? This is good for Jay White.
Admittedly, it is Ring of Honor gold, which I understand is still gold, but yes, it would have been nice if it was AEW gold.
So where do you think this is leading? Because I do think that the two will turn on each other at some point, most likely the Bang Bang Gang turning on the Acclaimed, but I agree with you. I don't think this leads to unification, but maybe it leads to like a title for title match.
It's possible. The more I think about it, the more I do think that if there is ever going to be an instance where a Ring of Honor title gets either retired or absorbed into an AEW title, the 6-man tag titles are the ones to do it with. They're really, like, it's always been a division that struggled in old Ring of Honor, even in current Ring of Honor. There is a reason that the only team that's really ever prominently held it has been the Mogul Embassy.
Yeah, in the new iteration.
So I really don't know. I'm hoping if they have to unify it, this is the one that I'm okay with. And let Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang get AEW titles. So we'll see. But yeah, there's no way that this doesn't lead to an actual match / feud between the 6 men.
Yeah, and as Orange mentioned earlier in the night, we have about 6 weeks to figure all of that out. So I'm sure they will.
Exactly.
Okay, after that, we had a quick Serena Deeb video package. She is returning from injury on Collision this weekend, so congratulations to her. Nice to see
So
her
many
back.
women highlighted tonight.
Yeah, we actually had quite a few women's segments, which was nice. Even though the match wasn't great, we had a bunch of them. Nice.
Yeah.
And we come now to our main event, which saw Adam Copeland face off against Minoru Suzuki in what I can only describe as just bizarro world.
A fever dream. A real fever dream.
It broke my brain that these two were in a ring together. I just genuinely could not comprehend it. But Suzuki is the latest entrant into Adam Copeland's Cope Open Challenge, which is kind of cool.
It's so cool, but I love it.
Yeah, the Cope
I
Open.
love it.
Anyway, this match ended after escaping a Fujiwara armbar. Copeland is able to counter an attempt at a rear naked chokehold and hit a spear, which didn't get a good enough run up on it. So Suzuki was able to kick out, much to the shock of the Rated R superstar. As he's staring off into space, Suzuki just does a sit up and he is laughing his ass off.
It was awesome. They booked Suzuki so well in this matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, they booked him like a monster.
So I think that even in this loss, I think this was probably the best he's looked in AEW. I think the only other match that he looked this good was when he went back and forth with Joe.
That was a good one, yeah. That was funny too, because it was like 5 minutes of them just kicking the shit out of each other nonstop. So as Suzuki sat up, he then quickly repositioned himself on the mat for another rear naked choke, this time locking it in. Copeland struggles and he's starting to fade because he's been in this for so long. But eventually the referee comes in for the arm check, which has been going around a lot lately. Yep. But that actually stirs Copeland. He's able to keep his arm up at one, and he drags Suzuki into the corner where the turnbuckle had been exposed earlier in the match. I somehow missed that. And Suzuki was driven into the exposed steel. Copeland then gets up, and he gets a staggered Suzuki and hits a kill switch, a direct shot at Christian Cage, and Copeland was able to pick up the win. After the match, he grabbed a mic and gave Suzuki his respect, and Suzuki just screamed at him and slapped his hand away, which was great. And Copeland was like, I would have been a little disappointed if he shook my hand. Before he turns his attention to Christian Cage, who was shown picture-in-picture watching the victory. Copeland calls that match a war, saying it's something Christian knows nothing about, and all of his wins during this Cope Open are going to make him better and help him get his way back to Christian Cage and the TNT Championship. So, James, I really love this match. I just love Suzuki matches in general, but this was fun. One, again, because it broke my brain. Two, it was nice to see Copeland in there with somebody he doesn't normally face in terms of styles, because he's been in the rings with some hard-hitting fellas, but nobody's really hitting the way Suzuki is. So, and he sold it as such. He was knocked down within the first minute of this match, and I think it made it really compelling. I like the spot where they went through the barricade outside, and Copeland had to overcome a lot in this match to end up winning, and they did a good job of protecting Suzuki as well. So just all around, really, really good match.
No, I completely agree. I stand by what I said. I think this is one of the better ways Suzuki has been presented in AEW. Quite frankly, it's one of the better ways he's been presented in a long time, no matter what company he's in. He kicked out of a finish. He had to be driven into the steel corner and hit with a second finish. And he made, like, Edge, Adam Copeland said it after the match, that's the hardest he's ever been hit in a match. So I thought this was a great showing for Suzuki. Copeland, talking about it 5 years ago, would you have ever imagined this match being possible?
I mean, Producer Boy has the tweet up now. 4 years ago on January 26th, Edge came back to WWE in the Royal Rumble, and now almost exactly 4 years later, he's beating Minoru Suzuki. Like, Where the fuck did that come from?
Exactly. It's what a ride this has been for the return of Adam Copeland, Edge, and I loved it. I loved it. And I hope. Yep, Dragoon saying Suzuki is his all-time favorite. I respect that. Suzuki is a hell of a talent, but so is Adam Copeland. He's no slouch. So great match between these two guys. Tweet affirming what I said before. Copeland saying he has never been hit that hard in his life. God damn.
I was wondering what they censored.
I hope we get more Suzuki in the future. As far as I know, I don't think he's under contract with New Japan. I think he's on a per appearance deal with them at this point.
It's kind of freelancing around. I mean, he's retiring soon anyway. Just let him do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, let AEW hire him for another year or two. Let him start a new group. He'd be a great part of the BCC. Just putting that out there. Great part of the BCC.
Just a crazy Japanese murder grandpa.
Exactly. So, great main event. I know, personally, I probably would have main evented with Swerve and Jeff, considering the match quality. But I understand being weary of main eventing with Jeff Hardy right now. But hey, if he continues with appearances like this, maybe it's in the future. Tweet saying, this Adam Copeland AEW run is nothing like I expected it to be, but I'm loving it so far. Dude is having the time of his life. And I think that's a big deal here. Edge could have stayed in WWE and been doing the same thing that he was doing. And quite frankly, I think I speak for all of us when I say we were getting really tired of him in WWE. Or at the very least, the way he was being booked in WWE. Yeah. We were all getting very tired of it. And yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just saying it was a point of diminishing returns. He kind of did everything that we figured he would do, and I was like, okay, now what?
Yep. And he beat people he shouldn't have beat.
Yeah, that's also true.
But here, yeah, he's still winning a lot, but they're against people he should be winning against, and he's serving Christian's story very, very well. So I think by all accounts, this run is doing wonders for him. Quite frankly, I don't need him to continue feuding with Christian just because I think I want to see that title go to somebody else. Even if it is Luchasaurus. But I am kind of, not that I'm done with this feud because they've been delivering. Yeah, no, I read this tweet too. Sony Pictures reportedly wanting to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield for Spider-Man 4, but Kevin Feige wanting the movie to be more grounded. I'm on the grounded side. I want Kingpin to be the villain of the movie with Scorpion finally getting paid off from Homecoming, and I want a Daredevil appearance would be great. But yes, I enjoyed this match. I'm done with the feud, more or less. If it continues, which it will, I'm cool because the matches have been good. I thought Adam winning the title was a very good match. So the drama's been good. Everything's been good. I don't know. I need the TNT title to go somewhere else.
I was there and I forgot that Copeland won the title. I was like, wait, no, we fucking didn't. A
literal blink and you miss it title run.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't get up to pee again.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I would have missed the whole rest of the show. Fucking asshole. I digress. Yeah, I was a little surprised they continued the Christian feud as well. I understand why Copeland would be super pissed about it, but I thought he would move on to something else just to do other things. That being said, I think this is the best way to continue the feud because you're kind of getting both here. He is still feuding with Christian. He's still gunning for him. He wants to get back. But he does have to work his way all the way to the top. So we're getting all of these really cool matchups, and I know we're just starting them. I think the first one was Dante Martin the other week. But we're going to get some really good matchups as we build up towards him getting near the top of the rankings again and being able to challenge once again for the TNT Championship. So I think I'll enjoy everything up until that point, and then we'll see where it goes from there. If he wins the title, maybe he gives a shot to Luchasaurus and a bit of a swerve or a bookend there, I guess would be the better phrase. But whatever it is, I think I'm going to enjoy the Open. That's really fucking hard to say. It sounds cool if you could say it. But yes, the Cope Open. Yeah, Open. I'm just going to say Cope
move
Open.
past it.
The Cope Open is going to be really cool, and I hopefully we get more really good matchups like this as it continues along.
Yep.
All right, but that was Dynamite's. They had just about as technical difficulties as we did on our show, but eventually they got it together. And James, I thought overall this, and I think you said this at the top of the show, it wasn't as good as last week. And I don't think it could have been.
You're talking to the wrong guy. This Dynamite was for me.
I know, it was specifically geared towards you somehow, but just overall, I didn't think it was as good, but I still enjoyed a vast majority of the show. I liked both Hangman and Swerve's matches. Obviously, Swerve's match with Hardy was phenomenal, and I liked all of their interactions. I even liked the beginning of the show with Samoa Joe and Hook getting into it before Joe got on commentary. Shout out him sitting down and going, "Who raised that asshole?" with Taz right there. So I think
New year, new me, dumbass.
So despite the fact maybe it wasn't as good as last week, I thought almost all of these segments and matches more than held their own. And Dynamite continues to just have a streak of good episodes.
No, I'm very much enjoying this streak of episodes. It's been weird because, like, I'm thinking about tonight, and there was no moment. Yes, I love Jeff versus Swerve, and I thought that was, for me, it was a personal highlight. But there wasn't really any, like, gigantic moment of the episode. Last week, we did have a big moment. It was Joe versus Hook, and the ending of that match, and the ending of the show was the big moment. But overall, I thought this was a very consistent episode of Dynamite. We had good wrestling from beginning to end. Hangman versus Penta. Like, look at that. This is what I was talking about
that
before.
Made in Japan.
Like, look at that reversal. Play it one more time, producer boy. Buckshot lariat, reversal into Made in Japan. Excellent, excellent wrestling between these guys. So we had great wrestling from beginning to end all night. And I thought we had some great storytelling, some great segments. I love Deonna and Toni. Just great stuff. So I don't know. I don't necessarily know that this episode is better than last week, but it's not that much lower if it is lower at all.
No, definitely a very high floor here. It was very just level. You know, it didn't peak very much, but it didn't dip at all. I thought, except maybe the women's match, I just didn't love it. But it was just a very good, consistent match. Just to get back to that Hangman match, because right after that finishing sequence with, you know, the counter destroyer on the apron into the buckshot, and then obviously the moonsault, and then I even liked the ducked buckshot lariat into the rebound one, and then to set up the finish. So just good stuff from then. I know I'm commenting on it, but I didn't get to the start of the show. But so I think that set the tone for the show at the beginning. Even though I thought it started a little slow, the ending ended up being really good. And yeah, just good, consistent show. You really can't complain too much when they come out and hit like this. Because the only thing you can complain about is, unfortunately, the crowd. And I don't know if it's just Savannah or this is a dip in AEW attendance of late, but whatever it was, they didn't show up tonight, and I thought that was unfortunate because I thought the show deserved better.
No, I agree. When they showed up, it was magical, but when they did, like, and I think they showed up for the back half of the show, but in the first half, it was rough going.
Yeah,
it was rough going.
I said, producer boy just had that tweet up. I only saw the end of it. It said more what the fuck matches, and who's Brian facing off on this weekend?
Yuji Nagata.
Like, what?
There must be like a wave of these older New Japan talent just in the U.S. right now. So where were they tonight?
Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah. I was going to say if they were on the West Coast, that would have made sense, but they're on the East Coast right now. So, yeah, hey, I'm not complaining. I love seeing these guys.
Yeah, it's great. I kind of want to just randomly see Brian versus Kojima, but that might have already happened. Who knows? But hey, I'm here for it. Let these dudes wrestle these old Japanese guys that we never thought in matches we never thought we'd would see or ever thought possible. So
yeah,
keep it going, Tony Khan. Keep giving it to me, and I'll keep coming back.
Keep it going.
All right. Well, speaking of coming back, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching, and we hope that you like and subscribe to us here at the Market Down Podcast. We have a lot of shows now that I'm starting to lose track. We are back here every Wednesday, obviously, for Dynamite. We are starting. We obviously have the Gym Pack Zone on Thursdays, or TNA Gym Pack Zone now. So
tomorrow I will be doing Gym Pack, but I might be doing it a little bit later tomorrow. So Be prepared. There will be an episode, but might not be at our usually scheduled time.
All right, so just keep an eye out for that. If you subscribe, you'll know when the show's on.
Exactly.
You can also check out all of our social media stuff, which I'll get to in a second, to keep updated on that as well. And are we doing SmackDown this week? Do we know? As we continue to expand here?
Time will tell. Chad won't be on. I might be on with Matt, our young lion, Matt. But
our newest correspondent.
You can expect a Royal Rumble prediction show. We will be taping that either tomorrow or Friday. And we will be doing, and of course, we will be covering well, not all of us, unfortunately, because we have a birthday boy this Saturday. Rev won't be with us, but we will be covering the Royal Rumble Saturday following that pay-per-view. And
Rev will be drinking 1 second per entrance. So 1 second, 2 seconds, 3
Dragoon asking if he'll be allowed in for the Rumble. If you play nice, maybe. You've been a sassy boy lately. We will see. But beyond that, I will. We might as well hype up now because we are going to be doing a giveaway for the Rumble. We are giving away a CM Punk Supreme figure. This is CM Punk's last figure, AEW figure, and not that easy to find. So we will be giving that away. We're figuring out the rules of it now, but expect that once again, a CM Punk Supreme figure. And winner will be winner will be decided. It's a joke, really. Winner will be decided on Saturday.
Yeah, and definitely, if you are in the chat and you comment, you will be entered. So, like I said, subscribe. Come back here, please, on Saturday, and you will leave a comment on the episode during the live, and you will be entered to win. And we will give that out towards the end of the live after the Royal Rumble. I promise. I will not participate, even though I'm not here, because I don't need that thing.
Also, Chad, while you're at it,
it's not cool. Look, it's not cool, or at least I don't. For me, I'm on the pod every week. I don't think I should be entering my own stuff. Chad's not on the pod every week. Fine, he can do whatever he wants, but not me. So, like I said, subscribe so you can come back here for that. Also, again, please, you can check out all of our social media stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, all the links are in the description below with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we will keep you updated on all of the goings on and on the Market Down podcast on those channels. Also, check us out if you would like on Apple Music or Spotify, or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those are two separate apps for some reason, but the Apple Music and Apple Podcasts, not Apple and Spotify. Those are clearly separate apps. But you can check us out if you would like to listen to us audio only over at those places. Just search Market Down and we will come up. So, James, if you have anything else.
Thank you guys for being here. Sorry for the technical difficulties we've had all week because we had some on Monday as well. But
it's not just me
being here. It's not just you. Our app is it can be a little zany sometimes, but
it eats up. I'm looking into it. It eats up so much memory on the tab that if you have like anything else running, which is why I had to turn the air block off. Everything else is eating at it, and then it says your connection's unstable, thinking it's the Wi-Fi, and it's actually not. So it's weird, and the website, the app, whatever it is, it just eats a lot of memory. But there's your techie shit for the day. All right, well, on that disappointment, back to the tent to borrow a line. No, we're not going to fire James. Sorry, Dragoon.
He's just a hater.
Literally, if we fire James, I think it would kind of just be me on Wednesdays.
Do you remember Danny? I kind of do.
Who?
Yeah, right? I kind of remember Danny.
Is he the guy who like always has like his hood on and like kind of likes the Acclaimed, I think.
I know he loves the Yankees.
Yeah. Oh, big Jeff Hardy fan, too.
Big Jeff Hardy fan.
Right. Okay. Now I got it.
His favorite Uso, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here before Danny kills us. For James Asante. Yes, the throwback picture of Danny. For James Asante, producer boy Eric Asante in the back, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everybody. We hope to see you Saturday for the Royal Rumble.